Today's event was made possible by the collaboration of so many dedicated educators and our distinguished speakers, along with the United States Mint, who are all excited to share their personal recounts of Sally's legacy and her place in American history. We are excited to have many of our students joining us here in the Media Center at school, and also the hundreds more who join us via live stream in the school building. When I think of the quarter, it brings back so many childhood memories. Quarters are nostalgic, something I would earn for a job well done, a good grade in class, a trip to the bubblegum machine in the supermarket or to the video arcade, or even a coin flip at a sporting event. Whatever our memories are of coins, the quarter remains one of the most distinguishable coins in American culture. To see the namesake of our school building featured on this essential coin brings us great pride at Sally Ride. Sally is a hero and inspiration to all of the students in our building. Her career achievements and dedication to STEM education, especially with young girls, has given us all something to aspire for. You'll hear more about this from our very own students shortly.
I want to take a moment also to thank the U.S. Mint, which through its American Women Quarters program is recognizing the significant accomplishments and leadership of women in the United States. Now, I want to say women rock. And I'm looking for the next woman astronaut to come from this school. All right? As the namesake of this wonderful school, Dr. Wright exemplified the many characteristics that are important to teach our students. Dr. Wright was a physicist, astronaut, educator, and the first American woman in space. She was a high achiever, literally reaching new heights for women everywhere and setting the example for young students, especially girls, letting them know that they can achieve anything they set as their goals in life or career. I'm happy to know that as a part of our audience today, the students of this school can hear the comments from our distinguished speakers, hear about Dr. Wright's work, and learn more about what may be possible for their futures. The skies or even outer space need not be dreams, but through high-quality schools such as Dr. Sally K. Wright Elementary School are very much possible. Our students need to see the adults around them as true exemplars of high achievement and character. When adults do this, our children can and do see themselves in the same way. Our teachers and teacher leaders do this every day, and I want to thank them for the hard work in teaching the children in our community. So thank you again for bringing this celebration to Montgomery County, and congratulations to the students and staff of this school.
I just want to say good morning and congratulations and how exciting it is to be here today. I'm Monifa McKnight, the proud interim superintendent for Montgomery County Public Schools, and to be here today to celebrate the life and work of Dr. Sally K. Wright as this school's namesake is just simply amazing. Before I go further, I just want to say this is what all together really means. I'm so excited I see our students here with just excitement, and I walked in and I saw the beautiful coins that you all did in your artwork that just says that, you believe this is important. And we want you to know that we're all here because we believe in you. Your staff members, your teachers are here. Your parents, some of your parents are here. We have Council Member Rice here. We have administrators from the county. And we're all here for you. And this is like the best picture that I know I'm going to see today because I have students, parents, staff members, community members, all in front of us, all in front of me, because we're here for you. And I tell you, Dr. Wright was such a great example for all of us. Dr. Wright was an educator, a physicist, astronaut, and first American woman in space. As a woman in leadership, she inspired our children. And that's so critically important, especially young girls, and ensured them that if they had opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that they could do anything, like become an astronaut. And inspiration is really important because sometimes life gets hard, right? I had some fifth graders at another school last week telling me I get really nervous and tired sometimes when I have to take tests. And we get it. But even when you get tired and you get exhausted and you get nervous about some things that you have to do, we want to keep being your cheerleaders and pushing you and saying that you can do it. And that's what inspiration is all about. So to the students watching in classrooms, because I understand that we have some students who are in classrooms who are watching us right now, know that all of us are here today because we are very, very proud of you and always will be. And we look forward to celebrating you when you grow up and you become doctors, astronauts, scientists, anything that you want to become. Because what we want is for you to be happy individuals who give back to your community and life. That's what we want. And we're here to do everything in our power to support you in accomplishing that. That is really part of the message of why I'm here today, that spending time in school now and being the best that you can be is going to allow you every opportunity to grow into that adult who becomes whatever it is that you want to become. I'm so grateful because I stand here as a product of a child, of a mother who really believed in me, who had teachers who believed in me, principals. A couple weeks ago, I saw my superintendent when I was in high school. Yes, it was a bit. I was taken back a little bit. He looked the same, but but I remembered saying to him, "I remember you were superintendent. You came to my home at one time." That was a very small town that I was talking about. But what I said is, you believed in me and you believed in my family being a part of my education. And so now I'm proud to be able to provide that opportunity for our students here in Montgomery County. So I say to you, we're here for you. I want you to never forget that. And as you go off and become whoever you want to be, know that we'll always be your cheerleader, standing behind you, rooting you on, even when you become adults, because we're invested in your success. So I want to also just end by giving a very special thank you to the U.S. Mint for celebrating Dr. Rod's accomplishment with this honor. And so with that said, I look forward to us continuing to celebrate what a great day we had ahead of us, and I look forward to us continuing the program to celebrate all of you, and a special thanks to our students who are sitting here on the front row who are being celebrated because of you being acknowledged here at Sally K. Ride, Dr. Sally K. Ride Elementary School. So we're very proud of you. So thank you so much for having us this morning.
After studying the academic impact and influence on science that Sally had and continues to have, I believe she would naturally be aligned with our school mission that states, at Dr. Sally K. Ride Elementary School, we are a respectful, responsible, and determined community that strives for everyone to feel that their identity and culture are fully valued. By focusing on kindness, academic learning, and social-emotional growth, children will become critical, creative, and compassionate thinkers who innovate the future. In the early part of December, I received an email from Mrs. Melissa Regan, an active member of our cluster PTA, who reminded me that our namesake's quarter was arriving in March to the circulation. She said it couldn't hurt to ask if the students could have quarters from the U.S. Mint release. As I reached out to the U.S. Mint, I couldn't have imagined the collaboration, learning opportunities, and celebration that would unfold here at our very school. This collaborative partnership that forged in December of 2021 brought our students lessons on who Sally Ride was, what her legacy brought to our school, and the expansion of the sciences, text and books, planchets of pennies, coloring books of the American Women Quarter Series, bookmarks, directions on how to be a coin collector, and so much more. This was followed by a collaboration formed between Astronaut, through our fabulous ESOL teacher, Mr. Ladisek, and our school, where astronaut Brian Murphy would respond every Friday to grade level questions on our Fun Day Friday component of our daily TV show. We learned about the impact of the atmosphere, the way in which food is eaten in space, and the science behind why it's a challenge both in time and process to get to different planets. Students received U.S. Mint trading cards, but most importantly, our students gained a wealth of understanding about the community that we are as a result of Sally's great influence. Students created artwork ranging from song and sculpture and art, and engaged in a school-wide readathon. Our top readers at each grade level are present here with us today, having collectively read, along with their classmates, over 41,000 minutes in the month of February. Sally would be so proud of you and your love for reading, given her double degree in English and physics earned at Stanford University. Sally believes that we all should be willing to learn new things. In her 3 secrets to success, we at Dr. Sally K. Ride Elementary School have all learned new things based on this incredible journey without Astronaut, National Women's History Museum, and the U.S. Mint. So, without further ado, please allow me to welcome Dr. Emily Margolis, the curator of American Women's History. Dr. Margolis is jointly appointed at the National Air and Space Museum and the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She is developing collections that fully realize women's contributions to and engagement with aviation, spaceflight, astronomy, and planetary science. Her work supports the Smithsonian American Women's History Initiative.
Hello, students, teachers, administrators, and families. I am so honored to be with you here today celebrating the life and legacy of Sally K. Ride, who's one of my personal heroes. Since her historic mission on Space Shuttle Challenger in June 1983, Dr. Ride has been an icon and a role model representing women's place in space. Though she was the first American woman in space, she was not the only woman contributing to the study and exploration of space. In fact, since the very beginning of spaceflight and space sciences in the 1950s, women have been a part of nearly every moment and major milestone. Women's history is the history of spaceflight. So, to better appreciate Dr. Ride's achievement, I'd like to highlight some of the women who came before her. In particular, a group that you may not know, they were known as the First Lady Astronaut Trainees, and they were astronaut testing volunteers. When the United States decided to send the first humans to space, no one in the whole world knew who would make a good astronaut, so they had to take a guess. What skills and qualities do you think are important for an astronaut? A good team player, perhaps, a good listener, someone who's brave and likes to ride scary roller coasters. In 1959, NASA decided that maybe military test pilots had the right stuff. And so at the time, the career of military test pilots was not open to women, not because women couldn't do it, but because people thought that women couldn't do it. Military leaders wrongly made this assumption, and then NASA accepted those ideas too. But a doctor who evaluated NASA's Mercury astronauts suspected that women might in some ways actually be better suited for spaceflight. So he organized an unofficial research project known as the Lovelace Woman in Space program and recruited women pilots to participate. 19 women volunteered in the hopes of joining the astronaut corps, and 13 completed the program with flying colors. This group of volunteers came to identify as the Fellow Lady Astronaut Trainees. Ultimately, NASA put an end to this experimental program. It chose not to train women while racing the Soviet Union to the moon. So although the First Lady Astronaut Trainees did not have the opportunity to realize the dream of spaceflight in their time, they proved that women were just as capable and determined as men to fly in space. It would be years later until NASA seriously considered women's capacity to contribute to space exploration, and when they finally did, Sally K. Ride became one of the first 6 women to join the astronaut corps in 1978. Dr. Ride built upon the legacy of the First Lady Astronaut Trainees to achieve new heights and inspire new generations. I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Margaret Weidekamp, Curator and Chair of the Space History Department at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. Dr. Weidekamp curates a collection of objects that enables the museum to tell the story of Dr. Sally K. Ride.
Collecting her archives means boxing up and cataloging all of her paper, school reports, work notebooks, letters, other records. So think about what kinds of paper records we might find in your room if we wanted to preserve your history. So school projects maybe, or drawings that you've done, birthday cards from people who love you and your friends. That would tell us something about who you are. We wanted researchers to be able to learn about Dr. Ride's life and work for years to come by researching in her personal and professional papers, many of which are in her own handwriting. So I'm pleased to say that Dr. Ride's complete papers are at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum archive, and they have all been digitized, which means that anyone can read them because they have been scanned and put online. So you could even use them for a school report. While our archivist was boxing up paper records, my colleague and I were looking for objects, for artifacts, things that tell the arc of Dr. Ride's life. So people always think that museum curators want to collect everything. We want to come in and just grab it all. But really what we try to do, and we're at our best, is when we're very selective. So objects, artifacts, are a place where a curator collects things in order to tell the story of a life. So what might we collect if we were going to collect your life? Is there some athletic equipment, a favorite toy that would tell something about you? Do you have a t-shirt that comes from a camp or a club or another activity that would tell something about you? For Dr. Ride, we chose some of her many awards, but we also picked a tennis racket. Before Dr. Ride became the first American woman in space, she was Sally, the competitive girls tennis player. And being athletic and coachable was an important part of her selection as an astronaut, along with her PhD in physics. We chose a flight jacket that had her NASA mission patches on it, and her light blue flight helmet from actually flying in the T-38 jets, and it has her name in script in cursive on the back. So we chose those things, and we chose things also from her work with Sally Ride Science. And we have those at the museum to help to preserve her history. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Dr. Ride in person, but I did see her first mission, STS-7, launched from Florida in 1983 when I was still in grade school, your age. But that was from a great distance. But from her papers and her artifacts, I have learned about her passions for spaceflight, science, exploration, and education. And even today, literally today, Dr. Ride is still bringing people together around those subjects. So to that end, I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker. Brian Murphy is a senior at Florida Tech, majoring in planetary sciences with honors. Over the summer of 2021, he did research at the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, investigating Titan, one of Saturn's moons. And he joins us because he is the winner of the 2021 Out Astronaut Contest. He's already making a difference.
We're here today to celebrate the life and legacy of the first American woman in space, the namesake of the school, Dr. Sally Ride. Over the years, Sally's legacy has inspired me time and time again to not give up, to reach new heights, and to be proud of who I am as an LGBTQ individual. Ultimately, it was knowing her identity that gave me strength to apply to the Out Astronaut Contest in 2021, which will allow me to walk in her footsteps as I train for suborbital spaceflight and advocate for LGBTQ acceptance worldwide. And in 2018, Dr. Jason Ray Mueller, Executive Director of the Out Astronaut Project, my boss, who may be watching today, so hello, wanted to address a significant problem in astronautics. Out of the nearly 600 people who have been to space, none have ever openly or willingly identified as a member of the LGBTQ community while active in the astronaut corps or while in space. This is a problem of representation, acceptance, and support, and Out Astronaut aims to address all three. We do this by increasing representation and visibility through a national grant and contest to fund, train, and fly talented LGBTQ+ professionals in suborbital spaceflight. I am honored to be the 2021 Out Astronaut and so lucky to be working with the vital and inspiring Out Astronaut team. We firmly believe that communities are empowered when they are represented and that you cannot be what you cannot see. So that's why events like this are so important today. Over the past few months, students participated in the celebration contest to honor Sally's legacy and to inspire the next generation of explorers here at Dr. Sally K. Ride Elementary School. I'm looking at all the students out there and can't help but wonder which one of you will be the next astronaut, next person on the moon, and first person on Mars. This contest embodies Sally's ongoing impact and is a testament to her heroism. Students were encouraged to use their creativity and knowledge to create a piece of art that took pride in Sally Ride. And out of the many deserving submissions, we have 2 pieces of art that won and are going to be given to Dr. Tam O'Shaughnessy in honor of her life mate, Dr. Sally Ride. It is my pleasure to introduce our winners, Jaden Odur and Riza Gerardo, and to welcome them to the stage to present their work.
This represents how Sally Ride achieved her dreams, and we can too. And finally is the eagle. This represents, like eagles, we should soar to be our best. I used an HB pencil and Crayola colored pencils. Thank you.
When I grow
I know that Sally Ride has inspired us all and the students in our building as well. Both Jaden and Riza's winning entries have been sent to Dr. Tam O'Shaughnessy, Dr. Sally Ride's life partner and co-founder of Sally Ride Science.
When Sally Ride became the first American woman to soar into space, she captured the nation's imagination as a symbol of the ability of women to break barriers. But Sally's historic spaceflight was just one part of her remarkable life. She was also an athlete, a physicist, a science writer, and an inspirational leader in science education. Sally would be so honored to be part of the U.S. Mint American Women Quarters program. The Sally Ride Quarter is magnificent. The head side shows the proud profile of George Washington. The tail side shows Sally floating next to a window on the space shuttle and looking back at Earth. Her gaze is upward, and her eyes are filled with passion and purpose. I know that Sally Ride Elementary School recently held a contest. Congratulations to Jaden Odur for her beautiful and interesting drawing, and to Reza Jurado for her amazing and melodic song. They both do great honor to Sally, so thank you. When you hold a Sally Ride quarter in your hand, look at the image and read the words. I hope they inspire you and give you a sense that you too can make a difference. If Sally were here today, this is what should say to you. Follow your interests, dream big, and reach for the stars.
Women's history is very important to the Smithsonian and to American history. When you study history, you'll learn that women and girls can change the world. About a year ago, I got an email from the United States Mint asking for us, the Smithsonian, to collaborate with the Mint and the National Women's History Museum on this project to put American women from all walks of life on quarters. It was a huge challenge. How could we choose 20 women out of the millions of women in US history? So we asked people like you, your friends, your families, for help. We also asked the experts at the Smithsonian, like Dr. Margolis and Dr. Weidekamp, and experts from the National Women's History Museum to help too. We worked together as a team to make a big list of all the names that were sent in. And then we narrowed it down by learning the stories of what these women had accomplished, their contributions to the nation and to the world. Were they a role model? And so on. We were very interested in honoring women who faced difficult situations and persevered to create change. As you know, as I've said, it was a big challenge to choose the first 5 women to be honored for the 2022 quarters. Today, we're here to celebrate Dr. Sally Ride, the first American woman in space. But she was also a teacher, a scientist, and an author. And she's the second American woman to be honored in this quarter series. So I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Herrera, Vice President of External Affairs for the National Women's History Museum, and she's going to talk a little bit more about the National Women's History Museum and why Dr. Sally Ride was chosen for this quarter. And remember, just like Dr. Ride, you too are capable of making history someday.
We were founded in 1996, and for the past 26 years, we've served as an online museum dedicated to sharing the stories of women and their accomplishments and contributions to our country. So if you want to learn more about women who fly planes, or women in medicine, women in sports, or women in the arts, for instance, you and the adults in your family can visit our museum anytime from your house by going to womenshistory.org. In fact, more than 4 million people visit our online museum each year because there is so much to learn about women's history. Not only stories from the past, but stories of women who are doing some pretty cool things today. You can explore biographies, articles, and even virtual exhibits. And in 2023, we're very excited because we'll have our first physical home for you to come and visit in person in Washington, D.C., and through a partnership with the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. We hope you come and see us. So many of you probably know that every March is Women's History Month. Raise your hand if you knew that. Great, that's exciting. But at our museum, we celebrate women's history all year long, every single day. I want you to think for a moment about the girls and women who inspire you. Who do you look up to? It might be your mom or your grandma or a friend or an author or a doctor. When I think of who inspires me, I think of the women in my family. I think of my mom and my grandma and my aunts. But I also think of Dr. Sally Ride, and I speak for the entire National Women's History Museum when I say that she really inspires all of us. You all know, of course, that Dr. Ride was the first American woman in space. But what you may not know is that throughout her life, Dr. Ride broke barriers and worked to ensure that girls and women were encouraged to do the same. She was passionate about improving science education and about equity and inclusion for all students, especially girls, in science, technology, engineering, and math. And she was also the author of books for kids about space exploration. We are so grateful and proud to be a part of the American Women Quarters program and to have helped select Dr. Sally Ride for this incredible and well-deserved honor. Dr. Ride is a role model for us all. Her contributions and accomplishments helped shape the world, not only as an astronaut, but also in the very important work she did in education. She reached for the stars, and her legacy inspires each and every one of us to do the same. Now it is my great privilege to introduce another inspiring, barrier-breaking woman, Ventra C. Gibson, the Deputy Director of the United States Mint.
Not only is this exciting, not only is this what we're doing, just pioneering efforts, but it also marks a time in our history of significant change, and it's about time. What the quarter means to me is started when I was a child, probably in the 3rd or 4th grade. I had an uncle, his name was Uncle Steve. I have 5 brothers. I'm the only girl and I'm the eldest. So that didn't always mean that I got the best of all worlds. When my uncle came to visit us, I grew up in a farm outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, and then moved to D.C. But Uncle Steve was sight impaired, or some refer to it as blind. And when he came to visit, he would give all my brothers 50 cents, or 2 quarters, and he would give me a quarter because I was a girl. Well, now, who knew that I had really long hair, so I pulled it back into a ponytail so that the next time he came, and when he'd pat us on our head to see which was the girl versus the boys, he could not tell. And thus, I got 50 cents. So that's my little story. But I, on behalf of the nearly 1,700 United States Mint employees who do this work with passion every single day, they make coins beautiful. It starts with just collaboration from the many distinguished guests behind me. It starts with local government and what's important to them. It starts with just the family members and the history. And for the American Women's Quarters program, this is the first year. Look at the excitement from Maya Angelou, who was the first we rolled out, and then now Dr. Sally Ride. And just a couple of weeks ago, Michelle, would you stand? She had the honor and the privilege to go to the International Space Consortium and give a speech that had an attraction of 725,000 people. That's a lot, okay? We should start counting like last year, okay? But it's so important. And then we have 3 more women coming out in a few months. Wilma Mankiller, who was the first Native American Indian woman to be the chief of the Cherokee Nation. Wow! How did you guys come up with that? That was just phenomenal. And then we have Anna Mae Wong, the first Asian American woman actress who starred in more than 60 movies and was a trailblazer in opening up the film industry for Asian Americans. And of course, how can I not forget Nina Otero Warren, who was a suffrage, who was the first superintendent of Hispanic descent to lead the New Mexican school system, and did so much to educate and inform. So we have, and the next 5 women coming, we've announced, but I'll let you guys read up on that. But we are so excited. And you know, making coins is miniature art. And so someone can take anything and turn it into art, but we have phenomenal artists from around the nation that once we give them an idea, they bring it to life. And when you look at Dr. Sally Ride's coin, it just speaks to you about who she is. But you know what's even more important? Women are on coins, finally. Like when? When was it supposed to change? And I tell you, you talk about exciting for the Mint, for all of us to make these beautiful coins, and I understand you have seen the video of how coins are made, and you've looked at penny planchettes, is that right? So you're gonna get a Sally Ride coin when we leave today. So I was so proud to be here, so happy. One of the things we were raised with, my father would always tell us this one thing: good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. And this is the best time in our history in celebrating the accomplishments of what women have done for this great nation. And it's our honor at the United States Mint. And it's my honor that the President has nominated me to be Director of the United States Mint. So say a prayer that we get through everything. That is phenomenal.
We are excited to have this opportunity, and we have Amari and we have Diem here with us. And so we're going to present. I'm going to give it to them because, and there's a reason for this. If you've walked in this morning, you have seen in our entrance the beautiful artwork in the coin art that you've seen. So it is a reflection of our entire school. But we had the opportunity to have our winners come up, and they're going to be presenting this to Ms. Gibson. Now, this artwork I'd like to share. So the work that went into this began in February, and it began in art with our art teachers, Ms. Dawn Covington and Ms. Gail Peck, and the work that they put into having all of our students create and become their own artist, and their reflection of what they saw. You'll clearly see when you're walking out and in the entrance. So I did want to acknowledge Ms. Covington because she was here, she probably wouldn't want me to say, very late last night, still continuing to make sure that that entranceway was lovely. So we just want to thank you for just a moment and acknowledge you for that. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you so much. So the book that was also created, and Ms. Covington put it together, of all of the artwork, so you're going to see in this, and I'm just going to hold it up for one moment, that in this you're going to see that there's artwork from our students, and that will reflect the work and the process that went into the work that they did creating all of the art coins. Such a beautiful, beautiful moment, and it's beautifully bound in this book.
The coin was sculpted by Mint medallic artist Phoebe Hemphill. Phoebe used clay and plaster to sculpt the portrait of Dr. Ride. Isn't that interesting? And then used digital sculpting software to sculpt the other elements of the design. And the use of the old techniques combined with new digital technology is the process that brought Dr. Sally Ride to life on the coin. Unifying the entire American Women's Quarters program is now obverse or heads design by Laura Frazier. In the old coin, he looks left. Under her coin, he looks right, which is the path to the future of change.